sovereignty, in the shape described in the previous video, generates a society or community of states which is based on international order. What international order means has been defined in part 2. Some basic fundamental goals, the reduction of violence and so, even if unintentionally achieved. A society is more than a system because it entails common goals. Does this mean that the international society is a paradise of peace? Not at all. In this international society, anarchical society, war persists, but it is war, as the French diplomats used to say, en forme, guerre en forme, that is shaped by mores and procedures such as the declaration of war, certain rules in the treatment of prisoners and civilian population, or you can also say bracketed war, a word used by the German and lamentably also for a while Nazi jurist Carl Schmitt. But bracketed war is not a planetary phenomenon. Bracketed war existed among European Christian powers in Europe. This is the painting of the Battle of Fontenoy, fought 1745 between the French and the British, in which the French commanders sent a herald to the British troops, and the herald shouted, Monsieur les Anglais, my lords the English, please be the first to shoot. An elegant pleasantry, so to say, but the battle itself was very bloody. And battles in the colonies against the native people were, as everybody knows nowadays, extremely bloody. And this order, this bracketed war, only lasted until the First World War, or let's say perhaps the time of the first big massacres of the civil population, as in Nanking at the hand of Japanese troops in 1937. This war, so defined, comes to a perfect conceptual expression in the formula: war is the continuation of politics by other, that is, violent means. The author is the most important philosopher of war. To tell the truth, the only real important philosopher of war, Karl von Clausewitz, a Prussian general, and perhaps his only predecessor was the Chinese general and theorist of war, Sun Tzu, who lived 5 centuries before Christ. Because of its subordination to politics, war in this sense is not pure violence, as Clausewitz very well explains, but it contains only as much violence as needed to force the enemy to conform to our will. And this is the first and the political limit to war, but there are, thanks God, others. even if they were came to be weakened or even to dissolve in the previous century. I will distinguish between matter-of-fact limits and normative limits. The matter-of-fact limits derive from the international system, or result from the political dynamics of the international system, as seen in a, let's say, realist view. The list starts with hegemonic peace. Hegemonic power, an empire, does not tolerate war within its sphere of influence. Then comes the famous balance of power, which was even formalized in the Peace of Utrecht 300 years ago. In the balance of power, as soon as the balance is no longer so well balanced, the less strong, or let's say the not so powerful countries coalesce in an alliance and can go and used to go to war against the would-be hegemonic power and re-establish the balance. What is democratic peace? Democratic peace is, first of all, a promise or a theory invented by Immanuel Kant, even if Kant spoke of republican, not of democratic regime, and tells us that democratic countries, for reasons that are built in the regime, do not go to war against each other, not that they don't go to war altogether. This was originally a normative approach, but has now become a reality and finds a reality that can be studied according to empirical evidence. The last item in this list is collective security, also including common security. That a system in which, a regime in which to take care of the, in which security is no longer the exclusive business of a single country, because responsibility for security moves to the collectivity that punishes aggression against any single member. The United Nations is the paramount example of collective security, and the collective security can also entail common security, in which you take care of the security needs and of the security perceptions, even of your possible adversary, something which developed in the last years of the Cold War. The normative limits to war come next.